And welcome back. This is the fourth segment of our Mexican tile art tutorial. And this time we're going to be adding color. Your next decision is what colors do you want, knowing that everything has to be filled with color. That doesn't mean no white. In fact, I would like to add some white to mine, so I have chosen a white. Using this brand, it is called Cottontail. You're also going to need to have a paper towel to put the underglaze on, as well as a couple of small brushes. These are the same ones we used when we did the watercolor practice for the color wheel. When you add your underglaze to your paper towel, you're going to squeeze it out about the size of a quarter. You can always go back and get more. I have chosen a darker purple, which is called Fruit of the Vine. And by the way, these are color accurate. If it looks black, it will be black. If it looks light blue, as this blue yonder does, it will be light blue. That's not always the case when you're talking about glazes. Sometimes glazes are formulated to shift in color as they fire, but these are underglazes. They will stay true to color. So I have my colors out here on my paper palette. I have it this way for easy cleanup. When I'm all done, I'm just going to throw this away. I'm not going to throw away the paintbrushes, of course. You will need to wash those with soap and water. So here's our next step. I need to begin adding colors. One option is I can use the back end of my paintbrush. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you now. I'm going to take the yellow and dip it in to the underglaze. Then I'm going to come over to my area and I'm going to blob it on. And once I have a good application, a nice amount, I can kind of take that brush and widen my space or clean it up. And that is all I need. I do not want to have a thin coat. I want to have a fairly built up coat. Then to clean off my brush, I can go to the sink, or I can just get a tissue from the teacher's desk and I can wipe it off. That's a little easier. So I can do the entire thing with that blob method, or I can use the hairy end of the paintbrush. Now, to get a sense of how accurate I'm going to be, I'd like to practice that first. So I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to see how carefully I can control the paint by brushing it on my paper palette. Once I feel confident and comfortable with my skill, then I can do it on my tile. And the same method as before, I'm bracing my hand. My hand is not floating in the air. I'm bracing my hand for support, and very slowly I'm going to brush it on. Remember though, I said you need a thick application of color. So I am going back and back and back for more of that underglaze. And then I'm dragging it out to fill my space as I go. Please go ahead and begin adding underglaze to your clay tile. Be sure to ask the teacher when you have questions. I'm going to pause the video, finish, and then unpause so you can see my finished product. Well, I have finished up my main colors. Remember our criteria that it is symmetrical. It is full of color. My lines are pretty clean. Check, check, and almost check. Do you see my oops? I do. Right up here. It happened because I was rushing and I had too much glaze or underglaze on my brush. Can I fix it? I don't really know. I sure can't do it when it's wet. When it's dry, I can go back in with a little bit of black, probably with a tiny paintbrush, and then the blue to see if I can fix it. And boy, this took me a while. I would say at least a half hour. And I was pushing myself pretty quickly. Okay, it gives me even more of an appreciation when I see these Mexican tiles to think each one is handmade. There will be imperfections because people are not perfect. And wow, it takes a lot of time. Final note, before you start your underglaze, before you start adding your color, remember too, the initial tiles that I showed you. I'll bring those back out. Here's this one and this one. There's something on these tiles that this one doesn't have as much of. Can you guess what it is? A boatload of dots. Now you can add dots, but you sure don't have to. If you wish to add dots, you're going to be using the back end, the stick part of your paintbrush, dab into the glaze, lightly apply, and lift. Barely touch it all, and the underglaze will come out. See your teacher if you have any questions, and good luck and have fun.